The most beautiful thing I've ever saw, I whispered. Then the alien princess slowly moved away. Commander Sarah Chen stood at the edge of the portal, her heart beating fast in her chest. The swirling blue light in front of her looked like a gateway to another world. Behind her, the rest of the human diplomatic team waited quietly. This was the moment they had all been preparing for during the past 6 months. "Remember, everyone," Sarah said, turning to face her team. "We represent all of humanity today. The Valinari have agreed to meet us, but we know very little about their customs. Stay calm, be respectful, and follow my lead." Dr. Martinez, the team's expert on alien cultures, nodded nervously. "The translation device should work, but there might be delays. Something seems wrong. Just stay quiet and let me handle it." Lieutenant Thompson, their security officer, checked his equipment one more time. "No weapons detected on the other side, Commander. The area seems safe." Sarah took a deep breath. 3 months ago, the Valinari had sent a message to Earth. It was simple, but important. "We wish to meet. Your species faces danger. We may help." The message had come with coordinates to this location, a small moon orbiting Jupiter. When the human ships arrived, they found something impossible. A portal that led to another dimension built from technology far beyond human understanding. The Valinari had created a meeting place between their world and ours. "All right, team," Sarah said. "Let's make history." She stepped through the portal first. The sensation was strange, like walking through warm water. For a moment, everything went white. Then Sarah found herself standing in a vast hall made of what looked like crystal and light. The walls glowed softly with colors that seemed to shift and change. The floor beneath her feet was smooth and reflected her image like a mirror. Above them, the ceiling stretched up so high that it disappeared into darkness. Strange symbols floated in the air, glowing with their own light. "Credible," whispered Dr. Martinez as he stepped through behind her. "The architecture is unlike anything on Earth. It's like they built this place out of pure energy." The rest of the team followed, their eyes wide with wonder. Lieutenant Thompson immediately started scanning the area with his instruments. "The air is safe to breathe, Commander. Gravity's about the same as Earth. Temperature is comfortable." Sarah nodded, but her attention was focused on the far end of the hall. Something was happening there. The air began to shimmer like heat waves, rising from hot pavement. Then, figures began to appear. The Valinari were nothing like the humans had imagined. They were tall, maybe 8 feet in height, but they seemed to be made of light itself. Their bodies shifted between solid and transparent, sometimes looking like people and sometimes like moving stars. They wore robes that seemed to be cut from the night sky, with tiny points of light scattered across the fabric. "Welcome, beings of Earth," said a voice that seemed to come from everywhere at once. The translation device in Sarah's ear buzzed softly as it worked to convert the alien words into English. "We are the Valinari. We have waited long for this meeting." Sarah stepped forward, trying to project confidence she didn't entirely feel. "Thank you for agreeing to meet with us. I am Commander Sarah Chen, representing the United Earth Government. We are honored by your invitation." The Valinari figures moved closer, their forms becoming slightly more solid. Sarah could see that they had faces, though they were hard to make out clearly. Their eyes seemed to hold the depth of space itself. "We have observed your species for some time," the voice continued. "You are young, but you show promise. However, danger approaches. The Void Fleet moves between the stars, consuming all life it encounters. Your world lies in their path." Dr. Martinez stepped forward slightly. "Void Fleet? We've never heard of them. What kind of danger are we talking about?" "Ancient machines," came the reply, "created by a race that died out long ago. They travel from system to system, taking apart planets and stars to fuel their endless journey. They cannot be reasoned with. They cannot be stopped by conventional means." Sarah felt a chill run down her spine. "How long do we have?" "In your measurement of time, perhaps 2 years before they reach the outer edge of your solar system. Once they arrive, they will consume everything. Your sun, your planets, all life in your system will be gone." The human team exchanged worried glances. This was far worse than they had imagined. Sarah had expected to discuss trade or scientific cooperation. Instead, they were facing the possible end of human civilization. "But you said you might help us," Sarah said, trying to keep hope in her voice. "What can be done?" The Valenary figures moved in what might have been a nod. "We have defenses. A network of energy barriers that can protect star systems from the Void Fleet. But it requires cooperation. Our two species must work together." "What kind of cooperation, Lieutenant?" Thompson asked. "We will provide the technology and power," the voice explained. "But the network requires a consciousness to guide it. Someone who can think quickly, make decisions in the moment of crisis. We have found that our people are perhaps too logical. For such a task, we think in patterns that are predictable. The Void Fleet learns quickly and adapts to predictable defenses." Sarah began to understand. "You need someone who can think outside the box, someone unpredictable." "Yes, and our observations suggest that humans possess this quality. However, the one who guides the network must be able to link their consciousness with ours. It is ... intimate, dangerous. Not all minds can handle the connection." At that moment, the air in the hall began to change. The other Valenary figures stepped aside, creating a clear path. From the far end of the hall, a new figure approached. This Valenary was different from the others. Where they seemed to be made of starlight, this one appeared to be formed from the colors of sunset. Reds and golds and purples flowed across her form like living silk. As she moved, tiny sparkles of light trailed behind her like stardust. "This is Princess Zarathiel," the voice announced. "She is the key to our defensive network. Her consciousness serves as the center point for all our energy barriers. Without her, the network cannot function." The princess moved closer, and Sarah found herself unable to look away. There was something about the way the light played across her form, the way she seemed to float rather than walk, that was unlike anything Sarah had ever seen. As Princess Zarathiel approached, her form became more solid, more defined. Sarah could see a face now, beautiful in a way that seemed to transcend species. Her eyes held the wisdom of ages, but also something that might have been curiosity. "You're the human leader," the princess said. Her voice like music played on crystal instruments. "We have studied your species records. You are called Sarah Chen." Sarah tried to speak, but for a moment no words came. The princess was standing just a few feet away now, and Sarah could see every detail of her remarkable form. The way light seemed to flow beneath her skin. The way her hair moved like liquid starlight. The way her presence filled the entire hall with a sense of peace and wonder. "The most beautiful thing I've ever saw," Sarah whispered, the words coming out before she could stop them. The effect was immediate. Princess Zarathiel stepped back as if Sarah had struck her. The other Valenary figures began to move restlessly, their forms flickering more rapidly. The lights in the hall dimmed noticeably. "The human shows emotional instability," one of the other Valenary said, their voice carrying a note of concern. "This is not acceptable for the network connection." Princess Zarathiel continued to back away, her form becoming less solid with each step. I cannot work with beings who display such chaos of feeling. It is too dangerous," Sarah called out, reaching toward the princess. "I didn't mean to, but it was too late." Princess Zarathiel had already begun to fade, her form dissolving like morning mist. The other Valenary figures were also beginning to retreat. "The meeting is concluded," the original voice announced. "We will consider whether cooperation is possible. You will be contacted with our decision." One by one, the Valenary disappeared, leaving the humans alone in the crystal hall. The portal homes shimmered behind them, still open, but Sarah felt like she was standing at the edge of a cliff. "Commander," Dr. Martinez said quietly, "what just happened?" Sarah stared at the empty space where Princess Zarathiel had been standing. "I think I just ruined humanity's only chance for survival." The journey back to Earth felt like the longest 3 days of Sarah's life. The human diplomatic team sat in their ship's main cabin, staring at screens filled with data they couldn't understand. The silence was heavy, broken only by the soft of the ship's engines. I've been analyzing the recordings from our meeting, Dr. Martinez said, looking tired. He had dark circles under his eyes from staying awake for the past 2 days. The translation device picked up some interesting patterns in their speech. Sarah looked up from her own screen, where she had been reading the same report for the 3rd time. What kind of patterns? When Princess Zarathiel backed away, the other Valenari used specific words. The translator converted them as emotional. Instability and chaos of feeling, but the original meanings might be stronger. Dr. Martinez pulled up a chart on his tablet. I think they see emotions as something dangerous, maybe even frightening. Lieutenant Thompson, who had been cleaning his equipment for the past hour, stopped what he was doing. Dangerous. How can feelings be dangerous? Think about it, Dr. Martinez replied. We saw how they live. Everything about them is controlled, organized, predictable. Their bodies are made of energy. Their city is perfectly designed. Even their voices sound planned. Maybe to them, our emotions look like chaos. Sarah felt a knot forming in her stomach. So when I said what I said to the princess, you probably look like a wild animal to them, Dr. Martinez finished gently. Not because you are one, but because they've never seen spontaneous emotional reaction before. The ship's communication system suddenly came to life. Commander Chen, we're receiving a priority message from Earth Command. They want to speak with you immediately. Sarah sighed. She had been expecting this call. Put them through. The main screen lit up with the face of Admiral Harrison, the head of Earth Space Command. His expression was serious, and Sarah could see other officials. In the background, Commander Chen, Admiral Harrison said, without any greeting, "We need a full report. The preliminary data you sent suggests that first contact did not go as planned." Sarah straightened in her chair. "That's correct, Admiral. We made contact with the Valenari, but there was a cultural misunderstanding. The mission may have failed." "Explain." For the next 30 minutes, Sarah described everything that had happened. The Crystal Hall, the Valenari S warning about the Void Fleet, Princess Zarathiel's role in their defense network, and the moment when everything went wrong. Admiral Harrison listened without interrupting. When Sarah finished, he was quiet for a long moment. "Commander," he said finally, "are you telling me that the survival of human civilization depends on working with an alien princess who thinks you're emotionally unstable?" "In simple terms, yes, sir." "And this Void Fleet they mentioned, how credible is the threat?" Dr. Martinez leaned forward. "Admiral, based on our analysis of their technology and behavior, I believe the Valenari are telling the truth. They have no reason to lie about this. The threat is real." Admiral Harrison rubbed his forehead. "How long do we have?" 2 years before the Void Fleet reaches our solar system," Sarah replied. "Maybe less. And without their help?" Sarah looked at her team, then back at the screen. "Without their defense network, we don't stand a chance. Our weapons and shields are nothing compared to what they described." The Admiral was quiet again, thinking, what are our options? "We need to convince them that human emotions aren't a weakness," Sarah said. "That our feelings don't make us dangerous or unstable. We need to show them that emotions can be a strength." "How do we do that?" "I don't know yet, sir, but I have to try." Admiral Harrison nodded slowly. "You have full authority to do whatever is necessary, Commander. The future of humanity is in your hands." The communication ended, leaving the team alone again. Sarah stared at the blank screen, feeling the weight of responsibility settling on her shoulders. "So what's our next move?" Lieutenant Thompson asked. Before Sarah could answer, the ship's alert system activated. "Incoming transmission from unknown source," the computer announced. "Signal appears to be from Valenari origin." Sarah's heart jumped. "Put it through." The screen flickered, then showed a figure Sarah didn't recognize. This Valenari was different from the others, smaller, with a form that seemed to shift between blue and silver light. "Human Sarah Chen," the figure said, its voice musical but uncertain. "I am Keeper Veltar, advisor to Princess Zarathiel. I speak to you in secret, against the wishes of the High Council." Sarah leaned forward. "We're listening." "The princess is... troubled," by what happened during your meeting. She has never encountered a being like you before. Your words affected her in ways she does not understand. Is that good or bad? Dr. Martinez asked. Unknown, Veltar replied. The princess has been studying your species records since you left. She is curious about this thing you call emotion. The High Council has forbidden her from having any contact with humans. But she wishes to understand. Sarah felt a spark of hope. What can we do? The princess will meet with you again, but only in private. She cannot risk the High Council discovering this meeting. If they find out, she will be removed from her position in the defense network. Where and when? Return to the portal location in one of your days. Come alone. The princess will be waiting. The transmission ended before Sarah could ask any more questions. She looked at her team, seeing the same mixture of hope and worry in their faces. Commander Lieutenant Thompson said, "This could be a trap. Going alone seems dangerous." "Everything about this situation is dangerous," Sarah replied, "but it might be our only chance." Dr. Martinez was already pulling up files on his tablet. "I need to prepare you for this meeting. We need to understand how their culture works, what emotions mean to them, and how we can explain our perspective." For the rest of the journey back to Jupiter, the team worked together to prepare. Dr. Martinez created a presentation about human emotions, explaining how feelings like love, fear, and hope had driven humanity's greatest achievements. Lieutenant Thompson researched defensive strategies in case the meeting went wrong. Sarah practiced what she would say to Princess Zarathiel. The hardest part was explaining something that felt natural to humans but seemed alien to the Valenary. How do you describe the feeling of wonder when you see a beautiful sunset? How do you explain the joy of laughing with friends? How do you make someone understand that emotions aren't chaos but the very thing that makes life worth living? When they reached Jupiter's moon, Sarah prepared to go through the portal alone. She carried only the translation device and a small tablet with Dr. Martinez's presentation. "Remember," Dr. Martinez said as she prepared to leave, "emotions are not your weakness. They're your strength. Show her that." Sarah nodded and stepped through the portal. The crystal hall was empty, except for one figure waiting in the center. Princess Zarathiel stood there, her form more solid than before, her colors more vivid. "You came," the princess said, her voice soft with what might have been surprise. "I had to," Sarah replied. "The future of both our species depends on understanding each other." Princess Zarathiel moved closer, her form shifting between solid and transparent. "I have been studying your people. Complicated. Your emotions drive you to create beautiful art, to explore dangerous places, to sacrifice yourselves for others. I do not understand how the same force can create both beauty and destruction." Sarah took a deep breath. This was her chance to save humanity. "Let me show you," she said, activating her tablet. "Let me show you what emotions really are." Princess moved closer, her eyes reflecting the light from the tablet screen. "I am listening," she said. And for the first time since the disaster of first contact, Sarah allowed herself to hope. Sarah stood in the crystal hall, her tablet glowing softly in her hands. Princess Zarathiel watched her with eyes that held the depth of space itself. The moment felt heavy with possibility and danger. "Your people think emotions are chaos," Sarah began, her voice steady despite her racing heart. "Well, let me show you what emotions have given humanity." She touched the tablet screen and images began to appear in the air between them. The first was a painting, the Mona Lisa, with her mysterious smile. "This was created by a human named Leonardo da Vinci," Sarah explained. "He painted it because he was moved by the woman's beauty, by something he felt when he looked at her. The emotion he felt drove him to create something that has inspired millions of people for hundreds of years." Princess Zarathiel moved closer, her form becoming more solid as she studied the image. "It is pleasing to observe. But how does this help in survival?" Sarah smiled and changed the image. Now it showed a photograph of a burning building with a firefighter carrying a child to safety. "This man ran into a burning building to save a child he had never met before," Sarah said. "He did it because he felt compassion, because the thought of someone dying when he could help made him feel pain. His emotion drove him to risk his own life." The princess tilted her head, her colors shifting to deeper purples and blues. People risk themselves for strangers. All the time, Sarah replied. Love makes us protect our families. Anger makes us fight against injustice. Fear makes us prepare for danger. Hope makes us keep trying when everything seems impossible. She showed more images. Scientists working late into the night, driven by curiosity. Artists creating beautiful music from their joy and sorrow. Explorers climbing mountains and crossing oceans because they felt wonder about what lay beyond. But emotions also cause violence, Princess Zarathiel said. We have seen your wars, your conflicts. Anger destroys as much as it protects. Sarah nodded. You're right. Emotions can be dangerous when they're not controlled. But the same fire that can burn down a forest can also warm a home and cook food. The power isn't evil, it's how we use it that matters. She changed the image again, this time showing Earth from space, a blue marble floating in the darkness. When humans first saw this image of our planet, it changed everything, Sarah said. People felt a connection to Earth, a love for our home that went beyond countries or politics. That emotion, that love, started the movement to protect our environment. Princess Zarathiel was quiet for a long moment, studying the image. You feel love for your entire world? Yes and not. Just our world. When we look at the stars, we feel wonder. When we imagine meeting other species, we feel excitement and hope. When we learned about the Void Fleet, we felt fear, but also determination to protect not just ourselves, but anyone else who might be in danger. Suddenly, the crystal hall shook. The lights flickered, and both Sarah and the princess looked around in alarm. What was that? Sarah asked. Princess Zarathiel's form became more transparent, her colors shifting to worried yellows and oranges. The outer sensors, something has triggered them. A voice echoed through the hall keeper. Velter's voice, but filled with urgency. Princess! The Void Fleet scouts have been detected at the edge of the Kepler system. They are 3 months ahead of schedule. Sarah felt her blood turn cold. Kepler system? That's where the human colony, New Hope, is located. 50,000 people live there. Princess Zarathiel's form flickered with distress. I must return to the defense network immediately. The High Council will need to activate the barriers. Wait, Sarah said, reaching out instinctively. Can you save them? Can you protect New Hope? The princess paused, her form becoming more solid again. We will try. But the Kepler system is far from our primary defenses. The barriers there are weak. Then let us help, Sarah said urgently. Combine your technology with our ships. We can evacuate the colony while you hold off the scouts. The High Council will never agree to work with humans after what happened in our first meeting, Princess Zarathiel replied. They believe your emotions make you unreliable. Sarah felt frustration building in her chest, but she forced herself. To stay calm, then don't tell them. Work with me directly. Use your connection to the defense network to coordinate with our ships. The princess stared at her, her colors shifting rapidly. You're asking me to disobey the High Council, to risk everything on a plan that involves human emotions. I'm asking you to trust me, Sarah said simply. The same way I trusted you. Enough to come here alone. Another tremor shook the hall, stronger this time. Keeper Veltar's voice came again, more urgent than before. Princess, the scouts are moving faster than expected. They will reach the Kepler system in 18 hours. Princess Zarathiel closed her eyes, her form becoming very still. When she opened them again, her colors had settled into determined golds and silvers. I will do it, she said. But I need to understand how human emotions work in crisis situations. How do you make decisions when you feel fear and anger and hope all at the same time? Sarah thought for a moment. We don't ignore the emotions, we use them. Fear tells us what's dangerous so we can avoid it or prepare for it. Anger gives us energy to fight against problems. Hope helps us believe that our actions matter, even when the odds are bad. And love, the princess asked? Love is what makes it all worthwhile, Sarah replied. It's what makes us willing to risk everything for someone else. Princess Zarathiel nodded slowly.
Then show me.
Connect your mind to mine through the defense network. Let me feel what you feel as we coordinate the rescue. Sarah felt a mix of excitement and terror. Is it safe? No, the princess admitted. Your mind is very different from ours. The connection could be overwhelming for both of us. It may be the only way to save your people. Then let's do it, Sarah said without hesitation. Princess Zarathiel moved closer, her form becoming more solid until she looked almost human. She reached out with hands that seemed to be made of starlight. Take my hands, she said. Open your mind to mine. Let me feel what drives you. Sarah reached out and grasped the princess's hands. They felt warm and cool at the same time, like touching moonlight. Immediately, she felt something strange happening in her mind, a presence that wasn't her own, curious and careful. I can feel it, Princess Zarathiel whispered, her voice filled with wonder. Your concern for people you have never met, your determination to protect them, your hope that we can succeed. It is... beautiful. Can you connect to the defense network while maintaining contact with me? Sarah asked. I will try, the princess replied, but you must guide me. When the scouts attack, I need to understand how humans think under pressure. Sarah nodded, feeling the weight of responsibility. Contact my ship. Tell them to prepare for emergency evacuation procedures. And tell them that this time, we're not going to fail. Princess Zarathiel's form began to glow brighter, and Sarah felt the connection between them growing stronger. Through their link, she could sense the vast network of energy that protected Valinary space. And beyond that, the cold, mechanical minds of the approaching Void Fleet scouts. They are coming, the princess said, her voice echoing strangely. 18 hours until they reach New Hope Colony. Sarah squeezed the princess's hands tighter. Then we'd better get started. For the first time since the crisis began, Sarah felt something she hadn't expected, not just hope, but confidence. Human emotions weren't chaos, they were strength. And combined with Valinary technology, they might be exactly what was needed. To save 50,000 lives, the real test was about to begin. The connection between Sarah and Princess Zarathiel felt like lightning running through her mind. Sarah could sense the vast network of energy that protected Valinary space, and through it, she could feel the cold presence of the Void Fleet. Scouts approaching New Hope Colony. Your emotions are so strong, Princess, Zarathiel said, her voice echoing in Sarah's mind. I can feel your worry for the people in danger, your determination to save them. It is unlike anything I have experienced. Sarah focused on the mental link while speaking into her communication device. Lieutenant Thompson, this is Commander Chen. We have an emergency situation. Void Fleet scouts are heading for New Hope Colony. We have 18 hours to evacuate 50,000 people. Thompson's voice crackled through the device. Commander, that's impossible. Our largest transport ships can only carry 5,000 people each. We'd need at least 10 ships, and they're scattered across the solar system. Then we'll have to try something else, Sarah replied. She turned her attention back to the princess. Can your people create temporary shelters? Some kind of energy barrier that could protect the colonists. Princess Zarathiel's form flickered as she concentrated. The defense network can create small protective bubbles, but they require enormous amounts of energy. We cannot maintain them for long. How long? Sarah asked. Perhaps 6 hours for a bubble large enough to protect your colony. Sarah felt frustration building, but she forced herself to think clearly. That's not enough time for a full evacuation, but it might be enough for something else. What if we don't try to save everyone at once? What do you mean? Your people think in patterns, right? You plan everything carefully, logically. But humans are good at making quick decisions under pressure. What if we combine that? If you handle the big picture with your network, and I coordinate the details with human intuition? Princess Zarathiel was quiet for a moment. You want to? Improvise during a life-or-death situation? It's what humans do best, Sarah said with a smile. We've been improvising our way out of trouble for thousands of years. The princess's colors shifted to uncertain blues and greens. This goes against everything my people believe about proper planning. Sometimes the best plan is to not have a plan, Sarah replied. Trust me. Through their connection, Sarah felt the princess's decision before she spoke it. I will trust you. But if this fails, It won't fail, Sarah said firmly. Contact the human fleet. Tell them to prepare for emergency operations. And connect me to the defense network. I need to see what we're working with. The moment Princess Zerathiel opened the full connection, Sarah's mind was flooded with information. She could sense energy patterns across dozens of star systems, feel the pulse of protective barriers, and detect the mechanical coldness of the approaching Void Fleet scouts. Incredible, Sarah whispered. I can feel everything. The network responds to consciousness, Princess Zerathiel explained. Normally, I guide it through careful planning and logical decisions. But with your mind linked to mine, I can feel different possibilities, paths I never would have considered. Sarah studied the energy patterns, letting her intuition guide. Her understanding, I see it now. The scouts are following a predictable search pattern. They're scanning each planet systematically, looking for signs of life. Yes, once they find the colony, they will call for the main fleet. Then we don't let them find it, Sarah said, an idea forming in her mind. What if we create a decoy, something that looks like a colony but isn't real? Princess Zerathiel's form brightened with interest. The network could create energy signatures that mimic your technology. But the scouts would detect the deception quickly. Not if we make it messy, Sarah replied. Valinary technology is too perfect, too organized. But if we add some human chaos to it, Sarah reached out through the network, feeling for the energy flows around New Hope Colony. With the princess's help, she began to reshape them, creating patterns that look like human settlements, but were actually empty space. This is not logical, Princess, Zerathiel said, but Sarah could feel her fascination through their link. You are creating false signals that change randomly. The scouts will not know what to expect. Exactly, Sarah said, working faster now. And while they're investigating the fake colonies, we'll be moving the real people to safety. The work was harder than Sarah had expected. Managing the energy flows required precise control. Making them look chaotic and human-like required constant improvisation. She could feel Princess Zerathiel struggling to understand the random patterns. How do you decide what to do next? The princess asked. There is no logical sequence to your choices. I follow my instincts, Sarah replied. Sometimes the best solution isn't the most logical one. Sometimes you have to feel your way through the problem. Hours passed as they worked together, creating false signals and preparing evacuation routes. Sarah's team coordinated with human ships throughout the system, while Princess Zerathiel managed the energy barriers and communication networks. The scouts have entered the Kepler system, Lieutenant Thompson reported. They're beginning their scan. Sarah felt her heart race, but she forced herself to stay calm. Activate the decoy signals, make them look like busy human colonies. Through the network, Sarah watched as the Void Fleet scouts approached the false signals. The mechanical minds analyzed the chaotic patterns, trying to understand what they were seeing. They are confused, Princess Zerathiel said, her voice filled with wonder. The random nature of the signals is making it difficult for them too. Process the information. Good, Sarah replied. Now we spring the real trap. She reached out through the network, finding the energy flows around the actual New Hope colony. With careful precision, she began to hide the colony's signatures, making it invisible to the scouts' sensors. The colonists are asking what's happening, Thompson reported. Should we tell them about the evacuation? Not yet, Sarah said. First we need to test something. She focused on one of the decoy signals, making it behave like a real human colony under attack. The signal sent out distress calls, created energy patterns that looked like weapons fire, and then suddenly went silent. The Void Fleet scouts immediately changed course, heading for the false signal at maximum speed. They took the bait, Sarah said, feeling a surge of triumph. They think they destroyed a colony, but it was just energy patterns. Remarkable, Princess, Zerathiel whispered. Your unpredictable thinking created a solution that pure logic could not achieve. But their celebration was short-lived. New alarms began sounding through the network. What's happening? Sarah asked. Princess Zerathiel's form flickered with alarm. The scouts are calling for reinforcements. The main Void Fleet is changing course. They will arrive in the Kepler system in 12 hours instead of 2 years. Sarah felt her blood turn cold. How many ships? Thousands. More than enough to consume the entire system. Then we need to get everyone out now, Sarah said. Can the network create stable transport corridors? Something that could move large groups of people quickly? The energy cost would be enormous, Princess Zerothiel replied. And the High Council would detect what we are doing. Do it anyway, Sarah said firmly. We'll deal with the consequences later. Princess Zerothiel hesitated for only a moment. You're asking me to risk everything. I'm asking you to save 50,000 lives, Sarah replied. And maybe 2. Save both our species in the process. The princess's colors shifted to determined golds and silvers. Then let us begin. Working together, they began to create transport corridors throughout the Kepler system. Sarah coordinated with human ships to guide the colonists to safety, while Princess Zerothiel managed the massive energy flows required to keep the corridors stable. The High Council has detected our activities, Princess Zerothiel reported. Her voice strained. They are demanding explanations. Tell them later, Sarah said, focused on guiding a group of children through one of the transport corridors. Right now, we have people to save. As the last group of colonists disappeared, through the transport corridor, Sarah felt a mixture of exhaustion and relief. They had done it. 50,000 people were safe. But through the network, she could feel the approaching void fleet, vast and terrible in its mechanical hunger. They will be here soon, Princess Zerothiel said softly. And when they arrive, they will find an empty system, but they will not stop. They will continue toward Earth. Sarah nodded, understanding the reality of their situation. Then we need to prepare for the real battle. The High Council will never approve cooperation with humans now, the princess said. We have broken too many rules. Then we don't ask for permission, Sarah replied. We show them that humans and Valinari working together can do the impossible. Princess Zerothiel looked at her with something that might have been admiration. You truly believe emotions are stronger than logic. I believe that together, we're stronger than either of us alone, Sarah said, and I'm willing to bet our lives on it. The princess smiled, an expression that looked strange but beautiful on her alien features. Then let us prepare for war. The Void Fleet arrived like a storm of metal and darkness. Through the defense network, Sarah could feel their cold presence spreading across the Kepler system like a plague. Thousands of mechanical ships, each one designed for a single purpose. To consume and destroy how many? Sarah asked, her mind still linked with Princess Zerothiel. More than we have ever faced before, the princess replied, her form flickering with worry. Our traditional defenses will not be enough. Sarah was aboard her command ship now, surrounded by her crew, while maintaining the mental connection with the princess. On the main screen, she could see the Void Fleet spreading out in perfect formation, each ship moving with mechanical precision. They're scanning the empty colonies, Lieutenant Thompson reported. They seemed confused by the lack of life signs. Good, Sarah said. That confusion is our advantage. How many human ships do we have available? 47 combat vessels ranging from destroyers to fighters, Thompson replied. Not nearly enough to face that fleet in direct combat. Sarah closed her eyes, feeling through the network connection. She could sense Princess Zerothiel's people across their dimension, their logical minds calculating the odds of survival. The numbers were not encouraging. The High Council is demanding that I end the connection with you, Princess Zerothiel said through their link. They say that working with humans is too dangerous, too unpredictable. What did you tell them? Sarah asked. I told them that unpredictable might be exactly what we need. Suddenly, Sarah felt other presences joining their connection. More Valinari minds, curious and cautious, reaching out to experience the human consciousness. What's happening? Sarah asked. Some of my people want to understand, Princess Zerothiel explained. They have been watching our success at New Hope Colony. They are beginning to question whether emotions are truly weakness. Sarah felt a dozen alien minds touching hers, each one experiencing human emotion for the first time. She could sense their wonder, their confusion, and slowly, their growing understanding. We need a plan, Sarah said, addressing both the human crew around her and the Valenary minds in the network. The Void Fleet is too large for traditional tactics. We need to do something they won't expect. What do you suggest? Asked a new voice, one of the Valenary who had joined the connection. Sarah studied the enemy formation on her screen. The Void Fleet ships moved in perfect patterns, each one responding to central commands with mechanical efficiency. They were designed to face logical opponents who fought in organized, predictable ways. What if we don't fight them like a normal fleet? Sarah said, an idea forming. What if we fight them like humans fight, with creativity, intuition, and a little bit of chaos? Through the network, she felt Princess Zarathiel's excitement. You want to merge human pilots with Valenary ships? More than that, Sarah replied. I want to create something entirely new. Ships that respond to emotion as well as logic. Weapons that strike with passion instead of just precision. A fleet that moves like a dance instead of a march. The Valenary minds in the connection buzzed with interest and concern. This has never been attempted, one of them said. The risks are enormous. So is the alternative, Sarah pointed out. If we fight them the normal way, we lose. If we try something impossible, we might win. Princess Zarathiel's form became more solid, her colors shifting to determined golds. And silvers? I will coordinate the energy flows. But I need human pilots who are willing to link their minds with Valenary technology. Sarah looked around at her crew, was willing to try something that might kill us all. Every hand in the room went up without hesitation. That's what I love about humans, Sarah said with a smile. We're too stubborn to know when we're beaten. The next hour was a blur of preparation. Human pilots climbed into modified fighters that had been equipped with Valenary energy systems. Sarah remained on the command ship, serving as the central link between human intuition and alien technology. The Void Fleet is moving toward the inner system, Lieutenant Thompson reported. I'll reach the main shipping lanes in 3 hours. Then it's time, Sarah said. She opened her mind fully to the network, feeling the consciousness of 47 human pilots merging with Valenary energy systems. The sensation was incredible. Each pilot brought their own emotions, their own way of thinking, their own creative spark. Combined with Valenary technology, they created something beautiful and terrifying. I can feel the ships like they're part of my body, reported Captain Martinez, one of the fighter pilots. It's like flying inside a rainbow. The energy weapons. Respond to my thoughts, added Lieutenant Park. When I feel angry about the people they've killed, the weapons glow brighter. Sarah felt it too, the merger of human passion with alien precision. The ships moved through space like living art. Their hulls shifting color with their pilots' emotions, their weapons striking with the power of righteous fury. Void Fleet has detected our approach, Thompson announced. They're changing formation to intercept. Sarah watched the enemy ships move into their standard attack pattern, mechanical and predictable. Now, she said, the combined human Valenary fleet struck like a force of nature. Instead of neat formations, they moved like a swarm, each ship following its pilot's instincts. Instead of coordinated attacks, they struck with individual creativity. The Void Fleet's mechanical minds couldn't process what they were seeing. Ships that changed direction for no logical reason. Weapons that fired in patterns that made no tactical sense but somehow worked perfectly. Energy barriers that shifted and flowed like water instead of maintaining rigid shapes. I can't adapt, Princess Zarathiel said, her voice filled with wonder. Their programming expects logical opponents. They don't know how to fight against chaos, guided by purpose. The battle became a dance of light and energy. Human fighters, powered by Valenary technology, spun through space like shooting stars. They struck with the precision of anger, defended with the strength of love, and moved with the grace of hope. Void Fleet is in full retreat, Thompson reported, his voice filled with disbelief. We're actually winning. But Sarah could feel something else through the network. The effort was exhausting the Valenary energy systems. Pilots were pouring so much emotion into their ships that the alien technology was struggling to keep up. We can't maintain this much longer, Princess Zarathiel warned. The energy drain is enormous. Don't need much longer, Sarah replied. Just long enough for one final strike. She reached out through the network, gathering all the human emotion and Valenary power she could find. Love for Earth, anger at the Void Fleet's destruction, hope for a better future, wonder at the beauty of the universe. All of it flowed through the connection. Everyone together, Sarah said. One last attack. Put everything you have into it. The combined fleet converged on the Void Fleet's command ship, their weapons glowing with every emotion the human heart could feel. The strike was beautiful and terrible, a rainbow of energy that lit up the darkness of space. The command ship exploded in a cascade of light, and instantly the rest of the Void Fleet stopped moving. Without their central coordination, the mechanical ships became nothing more than drifting metal. It's over, Princess Zarathiel whispered, her form becoming more transparent as the energy drain took its toll. We did it. Sarah felt the pilots disconnecting from the network, their minds exhausted, but triumphant. Around her, the crew was cheering and laughing, emotions running high after their impossible victory. How do you feel, Sarah? Asked the princess. Princess Zarathiel smiled, her form shifting through all the colors of sunrise. I feel ... grateful, proud, happy. I understand now why you called me beautiful that first day. Beauty isn't about perfection. It's about connection, about meaning, about the way different things can come together to create something wonderful. Sarah nodded, watching the last of the Void Fleet ships drift powerless through space. So what happens now? Now we learn from each other, the princess replied. My people have seen what emotions can accomplish. Your people have seen what we can achieve together. Neither of us will ever be the same. Through the network, Sarah could feel the Valenary minds, no longer afraid of human emotion but curious about it. She could sense the beginning of a true partnership between their species. The most beautiful thing I've ever saw, Sarah said softly, looking at Princess Zarathiel. This time, the princess didn't move away. Instead, she moved closer, her form becoming more solid and real. Beauty shared is beauty doubled, the princess replied. This is something my people are only now beginning to understand, as the two fleets, human and Valenary, came together in the aftermath of victory. Sarah knew that this was just the beginning. They had saved both their civilizations, but more than that. They had discovered something new, the power that comes when different forms of consciousness join together in common cause. The universe was vast and full of wonders. Now they would explore it together.